Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And we're back to the Pretty Bubbles podcast. This is the second show we've done this evening.
Mhm.
We have just gone through a whole podcast episode. We've pretty much finished, and James didn't press record.
I know.
So,
But why was it, do you think? What have I got on the brain?
Up with that. So, I am joined by Matt, James, Jamie, and we're joined by our guest today, Tom Willits, who has also been on the podcast before and the YouTube channel before. We are now live, so we decided to go live and talk all this again. What can we say? We'll just crack on. For you guys that don't know, James, people know through the show that James's wife was pregnant, and James has now had his baby, a little girl. James, congratulations!
Thank you very much. Cheers, everyone. If you've got a drink,
the second one tonight.
In the time that we've done the podcast, I could have gone and got a fucking shitload. All of you, but no.
But congratulations to you, James. I'd also like to say happy birthday to Ryan Archer from WHF TV. It's his birthday today. He's also a friend of the podcast. He's been on. They've got a great channel over on YouTube, so please go like and subscribe their channel as well. So happy birthday to Ryan. Right, let's start again, shall we? An hour later. We've already discussed Leeds for quite a length, but let's go again. We'll go back to you, Tom. Again. Your thoughts on Leeds at home?
Right, let's go for this again. I thought it was a good performance. Good to get back to winning ways after the loss to Man City last week, so we can stay up to the dizzy heights of fifth. Going through the game, the first 15 minutes we weren't great. Lucky not to concede, having had 2 goals disallowed. But then from then on until half time, I thought we dominated and were good for our 2-goal lead. And then the second half, despite Leeds creating a lot, they never threatened as much as I thought they would. I know Bamford had a lot of chances, but I never felt like we would lose the game once it got to 2-0.
As Daryl's disappeared, I'm gonna step in and talk, because that's the order we did it before. As I said before, you could tell Bamford knew I had him in my fantasy team. I do generally think if we'd not won that game, I don't think we could have had many complaints. We started really poorly. They could have been 1-0 up. Let's be honest, the offside was given offside on the pitch, but it was really tight. Second half, they battered us all game. All second half, really. We didn't create much. But you look on the other hand, we could have been 3-0 up at half time. There's lots of positives to take again. Some real strong performances from and I think the main thing for me is we played badly. The players knew it, the manager knew it, and we still won 2-0. Like, if you're playing badly and you're getting results, then you're doing something right. And this team's just growing every day. Like, right now, Europe feels realistic and like it's going to happen with every game that goes by. Like, we're 5 points ahead of Liverpool with a game in hand. That's crazy. Like, absolutely crazy.
100%.
It's because we're massive.
Well, we all know what I had the weirdest experience. I won't go fully into details again.
Story again.
No, yeah. Well, for those that don't know me, my wife was in labour during the West Ham game, so I had the luxury of watching it and being like, "Yeah, go on." But I saw the first.
You're better than me, because I would not have been paying any attention to my missus.
Like you never do, anyway.
Someone else shit for 90 minutes.
Saw the first half. Second half went completely out the window for me, because obviously things progressed and the baby ended up coming, so I didn't see any of the second half really. But from what I did see, I thought Leeds were well worthy of a point, but we were professional once again and done the job when it mattered.
Mig, your thoughts on it all, or have you already discussed as I popped out?
No, he didn't miss anything too magical. Don't worry. But yeah, it was shaky start as we saw. They put the ball in the net twice before we started even really playing. We just couldn't put a pass together in that first 10 minutes. But then obviously we got the penalty. Things settled down from there. We saw it in the first game against them as well. Their defending from set pieces is poor, and we conceded the most goals from set pieces in the league this season. You can see why. What Llorente was doing for Dawson's goal, I haven't got a clue. He just completely left him unmarked. Second half they had their chances, but I never really felt like I didn't feel worried as though they were going to come back into it. Bamford had their best chance, even though he was offside. They weren't. You seem to think.
I thought it was offside, mate.
I still don't get why you thought that was offside.
From live, I was like, it's got to be offside. And then I see that picture, I was like, oh.
Live, I went, he's on. He's on.
I've got things going on, Jay. You know, go on. I say that every game. I'll say my bit in a minute. I read something today that Bielsa thought that Leeds are a far superior team than us, or were better than us on the night. And I think that's what he thinks. Anyone agree with that? I thought they played well, but are they superior to us?
I listened to his interview, actually.
Do you reckon that's lost in translation?
I think he basically said they were better the second half. They were better for 15 minutes in the first half. They were just better for 30 minutes. But that 30 minutes, they were better. They scored 2 goals. He was basically suggesting that we deserved something from the game, which I don't think he's wrong about. I just think, as Tom said, it's been lost in translation. You know what articles are like, especially at the moment. It's easier to publicise saying Bielsa thinks Leeds are better than... He also believed that our Leeds deserved a draw against West Ham United in the game they lost 2-0. That was the thing.
Have PSG got a penalty?
Yes, and they've scored. I've just watched it.
1-0 up.
Game on.
As I said on the original podcast, I pretty much agree with everything that was said. 15 minutes were really poor. Other than that, we played all right. We were clinical. Got the 2 goals. Again, bad penalty by Jesse. But I thought again he was fantastic, and he's such a different class player for us right now. The way he drives with the ball, he never looks like he's going to lose the ball when he's got it, and he's always
confidence.
The first thing in his mind is to just drive, which is great because you've got a couple like that now. Ben Rama's the same. Ben Rama at times is disgusting.
No, he's so
One bit of skill on someone where he drifted through the middle. I was like, stop it. I can't wait for him to score his first goal because his confidence will just go even higher than what it is now. And he was close a couple of times, a couple of good long shots. I also think with him, there was a couple of times Fornell was obviously likes to drift inside. And as he was breaking through, Fornell was made a run, but it was probably the wrong run just inside. And instead of cutting out, where Bowen might cut out, it might just open up space a bit more. But that will come. I was really impressed with him, and I'd love to see him play against United from the start on Sunday.
What? Players like Lingard, I think where he's come from a bigger club and a player at a higher level, it's almost like they've already got that confidence. Like it's almost like if you're playing, say for a Sunday League team, if you're a League One player in your division and you go and play a friendly against a team that's in Division 7 or something ridiculous in that sort of level, you're automatically confident and you don't mind trying to take a risk and take a player on. And he's got that. I know he's got the talent, but I mean, he's got that confidence just to drive at players.
The thing is, people always say if you're playing with better players, you're going to become a better player yourself. He was training with good players all day, every day at United. He had that year where he was different class for him. He's been fantastic for England. So you know how good of a player he is. He just dropped confidence. And he said how much he's enjoying his football at us right now, which can only be a good thing for the club and him going forward. Do you know what I mean? So I'm buzzing for him to be playing for us right now, and I really hope we sign him going forward. But
I think a key thing has to go to Moyes, though. He couldn't have done this without any manager. It feels like he's come in and Moyes has really supported him, which has been the biggest thing to really help his cause.
And they had obviously a relationship before him coming to West Ham as well, because of the Moyes situation at United. So, which is great. Another attacking midfielder I want to move on to is Fornals. And as we've said in previous episodes that are not going to air, recall, we've got the head.
We won't talk about this incident.
we've got the head of the Pablo Fornells fan club, Mr. Tom Willits, with us. Tom, what's your thoughts on Pablo's game? His form at the moment. Does he deserve to start most weeks?
I think yes to all of those questions. There, I think his form's been excellent for a couple of weeks now. I think, as I said in a previous podcast, he was harsh. It was harsh on him to be dropped, but the addition of Lingard just gave us like a different dimension. But I'm glad that they've managed to like find a place for Fornells in the side, because I think he adds to the game both going forward and in defence. I just can't believe he didn't score that the volley.
That'd been something else.
The question is, if he'd scored that, does that go down as the goal of the season? Because we've scored some worldies this season.
If it goes in off the bar like a Tony Yeboah, it's got to be up there.
There is always something
I
about
don't think
it when
anything will beat Lanzini just for the
time and everything.
Yeah,
for the moment. Yeah.
But that would have been the technique.
But it would have been some goal.
Yeah, without a doubt. The one thing for me with Fornells, and he does so much defensively, and his movement and his energy is fantastic. I just want him to contribute a little bit more going forward. We can see he can do it, and he's done it at Spain under 23s and stuff like that, and he can do it. Just a little bit more composure from him, a little bit more confidence.
I think it's just that he doesn't stand out as much as someone like a Lingard or a Ben Rama, because he hasn't really got that little bit of real flair. But the work rate he puts in, he does the simple things pretty well most of the time. And yeah, his work rate defensively is second to none for someone that plays in that position.
Yeah, I understand why people don't like him. They're not
fans.
Doesn't do anything for him.
I also understand why people are big fans of him. I'm a big fan, and I love him playing. I love his comments before the game that he classes himself as a Cockney, which is great. And West Ham fans love that as well. That's what we want of players like that. And we've said it for 10 years now. When players come to us, they might not be that good, but if they give us 110% every time they go out on that pitch, we'll love them. And he's one of those players that 3 or 4 years down the line, West Ham fans will love him just for what he brings to us as a team, and obviously the players love him as well, which is great. We'll talk about Dawson, otherwise Jamie will start crying. What Jamie's like.
Hey, can we also talk about the other king, the left back king, the king of all the country?
You can have one or the other, Jay. Cresswell or
no,
Dawson?
both.
All right.
Both will we riot?
Yeah. Let's go Dawson first. Another goal for King Craig. The geezer can't put anything wrong at the moment. Again, right now he's a bit of a cult hero at the club.
There was an article in The Athletic that apparently Gareth Southgate's debating him to go to the Euros, which I just think is nuts.
I read that earlier, Jay.
It was 50-1 last time I looked.
On form,
I'm on it.
He's got to be well in. Why not in the picture? Cresswell's got to be in the picture. And that pains me saying that. Don't like that. Really does pain me saying that. But if you in the picture, apart from Shaw, what other left backs playing out their skin right now?
Yeah, well, Chilwell goes because he's popular. Saka probably goes because he can play left back. He can play more attacking.
He can play bloody everywhere. Saka, can't he?
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got Cresswell, who's got again the good thing with Cresswell is he's got that versatility of if they wanted to play back three, it could be the left side of a back three, and he can be a left back. I don't think he goes personally.
Surely Southgate's got to realise that we only win big competitions when there's 3 West Ham players in that squad.
True.
So if you look at Rice, Lingard, Cresswell, and Dawson, it's got to be
if you look at the odds, it's likely to be Maguire, Trent, Stones, Chilwell, Shaw, Dyer, and Walker. And Saka's a midfielder.
Dyer should be nowhere near that side.
It's because Dyer can do a job in a couple, but yeah, Dyer's not good enough.
Terrible.
Yeah, when you got people like Connor Cody and Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey who have all been pretty good this year.
Ezri Konza as well could even be in with a shout.
Yeah, there's some good names there.
Nuts that Dyer's even looked at because he's horrendous. Unless you're going to give him a penalty late in a penalty shootout.
His penalty was still terrible.
Did he score?
It weren't a good penalty.
Did he score?
Daryl, you wouldn't be saying it's a good penalty if that's saved. You'd be saying a lot more expensive.
The save's a good pen.
If a penalty goes in, it's good. If it doesn't, it's bad.
Better than Jesse Lingard's pen on Monday night. Let's put it that way.
It's true.
That's true.
Exactly. I say I can't see Craig going. I can't see Cresswell going. The one that is a certain is obviously Declan goes, and I think he's now pretty much a guaranteed starter for that England side going forward.
Yeah, and Calvin Phillips is his backup.
We are going to carry the Pretty Bowls podcast on for an England pod series going through the Euros as well, which we have discussed. Is Lingard getting closer and closer to this England squad?
No,
he's on the plane already.
I just want Jamie to get a tattoo. I really.
My honest opinion still is he needs an injury for him to get in that squad.
There's a few though, Jay. There's a few.
There's two that are injured right now. If they don't come back firing, like Grealish goes no matter what. Grealish goes if he's fit.
Yeah.
All right. Grealish and Mount are certain. Foden's a certain.
Yeah.
Madison maybe, but even if Madison don't go, it's in a position we've got so much talent that I think he then maybe takes a left back and then he can play Saka
as well.
I think he's closer than what we think because again he's versatile.
I also think he's probably got a chance, but I just think it's in a position where we have so much talent that I don't. He needs a couple of injuries. I think
I cannot think that he's a player that Southgate can trust.
But that's exactly what I was going to say. He knows he can trust him from the last World Cup. That is the only thing going. Well, not the only thing because he's playing well, but that is massively working in his favour.
I tell you what, Joe, your bum old squeaks if he's in that England squad next time.
he might do, but I also think we've looked at someone like Gareth Southgate before. He would much rather give a younger player a chance and build this team. Like he's not often kept older players who have come into form into the.
And there goes James Wi-Fi.
And let's be honest, Jesse Lingard ain't.
We'll move on from that.
My Wi-Fi gone.
I'll be back in a minute.
Wait, can I just jump in here as well?
I'm fine. I can hear you absolutely fine.
Yeah, you're back now. While we're talking,
I was fine the whole time.
You weren't. While we're talking about England players and West Ham specifically, can we just once again point out that Calvin Phillips is not in Declan Rice's league?
Agreed.
No.
I thought he played well on Monday night, Calvin Phillips, but.
You don't want to get a yellow card.
Buzzing that he got booked.
Yeah, oh, mate, where am I at? Running round, yes. He goes. He's in the England squad for me, and he's a very good backup for Declan. But he doesn't play ahead of Declan for me. And anyone that thinks that just doesn't watch football. Just doesn't watch.
No.
Or is a
Let's be honest. The best England midfield is Declan Rice, Jordan Henderson. That is your pivot too. It has to be.
Yeah.
So Henderson gives.
Here's the question:
do you think that Rice could play it on his own?
He could
not
against
the
lesser teams.
Yeah.
So there's a follow-on question. I was going off sort of the West Ham topic here.
Well, we've already spoken enough about West Ham earlier on.
An hour and a half on West Ham, to be fair. As you pointed out there, Tom, you're playing against the lesser sides, and Declan's playing in that role on his own. What other midfielders do you play going forward? Does Mount slot in as a centre midfielder?
Well, I think if you're only playing one holding player, then that's an opportunity where you can cram all of our good attacking players onto the pitch because we've got so many of them, as we've already said. Mount could, in that situation, Mount could sit next to Rice.
Yeah.
I was talking to a few mates the other day about what England's front four would be, and it's so hard to nail down because you've got Sterling, Rashford, Sancho, like Foden, Madison, Grealish, Mount. Like, there's so many options there. And how often do we say this with England?
I think Harry Kane is the only one that's nailed on starter.
Yeah, because he's your captain. But other than that, like, you've got so many choices, and it's really hard to narrow down who's going to be starting in that first game.
Has Sterling gone down the pecking order a little bit? The last couple of months on form. Obviously he goes, and we know he goes because of how good he can be. But does he drop below Rashford and maybe Sancho, maybe Grealish?
I would argue I've been the biggest fan of what's his name?
Such a big fan, you can't even remember his name.
Because he said so many names after it. Rashford. I love Rashford. I think Rashford is arguably in the top 3-4 youngsters in the world. But I just think Sterling is...
That's bold.
I do. After Mbappe and Haaland and Sancho, I don't think there's another great youngster after that. I think they're the top 4. Like, unless you can give me a name, I think they're the 4 best youngsters.
Jamie, I wasn't unprepared for the question. So
James is over here going, "Who's Haaland?"
To be honest, I do know who he is, but I was waiting for Haaland to be added up.
Only your power earlier on.
Wait, if Fornals would have scored that goal like Tony Yeboah, we'd be going.
Any more players you want to sort of discuss from? We'll go back to West Ham, obviously. Any more players you want to discuss from the game on Monday?
No, I think we know.
Cresswell.
He's just been great. I'm just going to say that. And Daryl's got to admit he's been brilliant.
As I said,
the king of FPL.
Yeah. Top scoring defender in FPL. Most assists for a defender in the Premier League this season. Just all round absolute god and baller. And Daryl is going to be crying into his beer in that first game when he's starting for England and he whips in a ball and Craig gets on the end of it.
Nice thing I've said tonight on Cresswell, but because it wasn't recorded, but I'm gonna say it. I think this has been Cresswell's best season at the club. I know Jamie, you sort of disagree. I think it's his best form. It's his best form in a long time anyway. I know I was really down on him last year, but look, when a team's playing with confidence and the defence is playing with confidence, everyone's playing better anyway. And we knew we were conceding goals for fun last year, and a lot of them were his fault. But he's playing lights out. As Tom said, FPL king, match ready stats out. No one starts ahead of him in that West Ham side right now. And if they really want Masuaku back in that side, which I think Moyes will want, they'll just then slot him into a third centre half again. So he's one of the first names on the team sheet along with Rice and Antonio and probably Dawson right now.
That's a good question, actually. We didn't speak about it before. When Masuaku comes back, how long do you take to put him in?
No, but it's the same again.
He'll get some minutes off the bench, and he's one that you can play as a left
or winger almost.
Fielder. Yeah, in the formation we play in at the moment, the 4-2-3-1, you can play him as your furthest forward on the left, so he'll get minutes. It will be if he's back, say in 3 weeks' time, that we've got a tough game against. I can't even think that we've got left near the end of the season. That he wants to go back into this 3-5-2. That's when he'll play him because he still doesn't really overly trust Fredericks. Really, Johnson's been really, really good, but Masuaku's still over Johnson. So yeah, we just have to play it by ear, Masuaku.
How did he get on yesterday? I didn't quite. Whenever it was Monday.
He weren't on too long, was he?
You got to look at it when someone comes back from injury, or you look at it. Balbuena got dropped from this team, had done nothing wrong, but no one walks into this team at the moment. Like, there's no real player who just is there for the sake of like, oh, he's back from his fit, he has to start. So for me, I don't think he'll play, but only when the game suits him, as Daryl said.
I would say the only player that does is Fabianski.
Fabianski and Rice and Souček and
I was just say them two.
Antonio.
The only two that would walk straight back in.
The good thing going for Johnson right now, as James mentioned him, is obviously Moyes rates him because he put him on when we needed a second defensive player out there against Rafinha, who I thought was their best player by an absolute mile.
He's a good player.
Class above any of their players. And I know there's some big teams definitely after him going forward. But he was very good. And Johnson's going to stay around that first team for a long time, which is good for him as well. Let's move on from the game. Luka Fabianski has signed a year's contract extension. We discussed him at length on our Lost pod, but we're all happy with that. We all said we're really happy with him signing the contract extension. Yes.
Yep.
The thing I didn't get was reading Twitter. People are like, this means we're not signing a goalie. And I'm like, I don't think it does. I think the ultimate thing is, if you don't have a first team goalkeeper, like
insurance again, isn't it?
A first choice goalkeeper, like teams can instantly overprice you. Like a team can look at you and go, well, you don't have an obvious first choice. We're going to whack the price up. If you keep him there and sign someone this summer, it means you're not desperate.
The thing for me is, right, we've got 2 number 1 goalkeepers, right? Because I think Randolph could be a number 1 in the Premier League. He could easily go play for Sheffield United, and he's better than that. They've got in goal. He's only Ramsdale. Wow.
I think the confusing thing was he was all right at Bournemouth.
Yeah, he could definitely be a Premier League number 1. So he's only going to have a few years left in his career as well. He will want to lead this year if he's not number 1 goalkeeper, which he won't be ahead of Fabianski. As we said before, David Martin is pretty much guaranteed to leave. So we will bring a goalkeeper in. I'm sure we'll bring a goalkeeper in. And as we said, we've got Nathan Trott sitting there in the wings waiting for a turn as well. So I think we'll be fine goalkeeper-wise. The big thing I want to talk about is, and I know this could... Look, Mark Noble has signed a 1-year extension as well. He's also said that it will be his last year at the club no matter what. As a player, as a first-team player, he hasn't said he'll obviously leave the club. There could well be a coaching contract for him in the future, which I'd be about 8% certain that if he retires, he will have some sort of contract at the club in a coaching role. Look, I know we've got different thoughts on him, and especially Jamie more than I think the rest of us. It's gutting to know that he will be gone from our club in a year's time. He's been such a great servant. And that last game will be sad.
As long as the fans, I do hope that we get a full stadium. I'm hoping life is back to normal, that the full fans can get in there, because it will be interesting and sad to see him go. Because I think the thing I tweeted is, never been his biggest fan, never have. But ultimately, in the whole time he's been at the club, I'd say arguably he's the one that's cared the most.
And he still cares the most. That's the thing.
Well, at the end of the day, he's obviously got... He's definitely got something special about him, like whether it's not necessarily the talent that he's gonna, set the world on fire, but as a player, professional, because every manager we've had has picked him. Every manager, and he's been captain pretty much the whole time that we've changed managers since Scott Parker.
And he's the passion, isn't he? Like he is. I mean, I know it's cliche to say about it, but he's the kid that grew up round the corner from Upton Park, was a West Ham fan from a young age, dreamt of playing for the club, got there. Like he like captained his boyhood club at Wembley, and he played in an FA Cup final for them, and like that is like any of us would have given so much to do that.
Yes, James, you made a good point there. Since he made his debut, he's played under 8 full-time managers at the club, and every one of them's picked him pretty consistently in that side. And still up to last year, he was picked pretty consistently. And if it wasn't for Souček coming in, he probably still would be picked pretty consistently. All right, we watch him. He's not the same player that he was. His legs have gone. He's not there anymore. But what a servant he's been for the club.
I still think there's a role for him, though, in the side.
Without a doubt. But
the way he's come on recently with like 15 minutes to go to close the games out, I think that's perfect. That's a perfect job for him.
That's what he should be doing, yeah.
He keeps the ball well enough when we've got it. He's a keep ball merchant now. He goes sideways. He doesn't panic.
Yeah, it's the player you want on the pitch when you've got quite a good lead. Like you've got a 2-0 lead with 10 minutes to go, and you want to rest the player because he's going to keep the ball. Yeah, he's just going to keep the ball. He's going to keep the head. He's going to make the other players around him keep their heads. And
he's given he's given us
some
unbelievable memories as well. Leicester, I think Leicester away used to.
Leicester away, we won a lot of money because of him. So that's my highlight of Mark Noble.
The volley was unbelievable. Picking up Herrera. Game.
I think his first goal, is the best memory I've got for him. That first game against Tottenham where we lost 4-3.
Yeah,
is actually
the more thing that stands out for me in that game was him walking off the pitch crying.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. That whole game, how he scored, you could tell how big that game because everyone said we were relegated. That's my biggest Mark Noble memory.
He's a great servant, and you see a lot of players say stuff about him. He's the first one to welcome new players to the club. He does a lot for that side. He does a lot for the community. I read in that statement that he spends a lot of time at Little Leaf and Chad Relief with the youth sides and the academy sides, which is great for someone like him who's been at that club now for well over 20 years, right? Played all these Premier League games. He doesn't have to do that, but he still does it, and that's why he's loved at the club. Like
I heard Jamie was really jealous when he said how much time he was spending with the youngsters.
A comment's got you made everywhere, isn't it?
On another note, his number still shouldn't be retired. I stick by that.
No,
I wouldn't. I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm not against it, and I'm not for it. But I wouldn't argue about it if it got retired.
I think it would dishonour a lot of other legends at the club if it happened. For me, it would dishonour Alvin Martin. It would dishonour Frank Lampard, Billy Bonds, Jeff Hurst, Trevor Brooking. There's a lot of other players that if you do that, you could argue about them. I just think
the one that should be is Billy Bonds. Out of the names you've just named, Billy Bonds is a standout. All right, we love Trevor. We love Trevor and what he's done for the club and stuff like that. But Billy Bonds is a standout of those names. And then Noble.
For me, I like how ours are just posthumous of people that have passed away prematurely in their life. I think if that's the nicest way to put it, it honours people who lost their lives early.
No matter what, it won't be as bad as Birmingham retiring Jude Bellingham's number.
As I said, I'm not for it. I'm not against it. But I wouldn't mind either way.
I would prefer the Mark Noble stand as one of at the stadium rather than
It'd be tough to find one though, wouldn't it?
Well, isn't there one called the Betway stand?
Mark Noble.
That's the main stand. I don't think they can. I don't think they can do a stand because the only stand that isn't named after a player is contractually always the sponsor stand. So I don't think it can happen.
What about the old bridge outside that takes you near the club shop?
That's probably the best thing they can do.
Once you say the contract comes to an end with Betway as main sponsor, you haven't got to name the stand after the new sponsor. You can, but
it'd be contractually, wouldn't it?
Also, on that point, are the Premier League looking at getting rid of betting companies as sponsors?
Yeah, there's a couple of leagues that have done it already, isn't there? I think Spain, one of them maybe. But there's a couple of leagues that are getting rid of them.
Welcome Matt for watching. Thank you, and to Jack Waller, who's also messaged that he loves Mainly for some reason.
I'll give you a tenner if you come in and punch your brother.
I would pay to see that.
He's right. He has mentored Rice this whole time as well, which is bang on. And obviously, Rice is now a world-class player for West Ham. So,
world-class. Here we go again.
The best thing for Noble will be is not naming something after him. It will be a statue of Mark Noble with the FA Cup when we win it next year. And he's
Champions League.
Dow, it's the Champions League.
Champions League, right? Okay. That'll be it'll be how good would it be for his last game at the club to be winning a trophy?
It won't happen.
It won't happen.
But you know what? It would be a career.
That's like saying, how good would it be for me to shag Mila Kunis? Not gonna happen.
It would be a career hype for him though if we did miraculously manage to actually qualify for get that fourth spot. That would be an absolute.
Did you see Danny Mills today?
For him, one sec, Jay. For him, it would be better only qualifying for the Europa League because I think he'll get more game time in the Europa League next year in his last season than he would in the Champions League.
Yeah. Look at us debating about whether we want to be in the Europa League.
Speaking of this, Danny Mills.
We've been doing this like a year. Where we've turned in that
after all this, we'll get in that conference one.
Yeah,
Danny Mills is an absolute joke. He was on TalkSport earlier, moaning that teams it would be ridiculous that the fourth team in England shouldn't go into Champions League. How can you call it the Champions League if the fourth best team, basically saying teams like West Ham shouldn't be there? Yet he played for Leeds when they got to the semi-final, and people forget about them. Like Leicester, the typical non-team, got to a quarter-final. It's just people having agendas against smaller clubs. And look,
I
if we
wouldn't
got into
take anything
League,
him or someone like Gabby Bonlahor says with a pinch of salt on TalkSport, because they're just saying it to.
At the end of the day, like you got to look at it
to
like
rile up
if we qualify for this, like when we qualified last time and we got on the fair play, we didn't deserve to be in Europe. So we shouldn't really have been there. We didn't have a squad good enough to be there. That's why we didn't finish in them places. If we finish in the top 6, say, this year, then we deserve to be there on merit. And the only reason we didn't get higher is because the teams above us are literally just as good as us, if not that little bit better of us. They won't be higher above us. So we can go into that European thing. And, with our best 11, you think we're not going to play teams like City every week in Europe. We can go out and beat these teams. I have confidence our strongest 11 can beat a lot of clubs.
Oh, mate, if we get in the Champions League, we're going to play like Barcelona and PSG away. I can't wait.
You know what? That's stuff I want to dream about. I'd love to see us go out and see Souček go out there and just Coot and Schufel just go and destroy one of them.
Could you imagine Cockney geezers walking around Barcelona, Madrid, and Munich?
I've already discussed with Max, my old man, that if we did get a European title, we would go.
Yeah, even if I couldn't get a ticket.
Regardless of the situation, regardless of how much it costs.
The other day, a dream of mine has always been to do a West Ham away game in obviously a European game away. So I'll do my best definitely to get out to one of them for sure.
Even if it was a qualifier in like Ukraine or somewhere, I think that would almost in a way be better.
Yeah. I think that is it, isn't it? I think for us as a fan base, necessary, because we know we ain't gonna get anywhere. Like in Europe, maybe we'll get a little bit further if we have a good run and no injuries.
As long as Astra Gugu go and turn up.
Yeah, but if it's in the Champions League, I just know it'll just be a laugh. Like we'll be the underdogs massively, but we should just enjoy it. The fan base just want to go out there, have a laugh, and that's what it'll be. Right?
We would take one hell of a following away in Europe.
Oh, could you imagine?
If it was a group game or something like, we would take one hell of a following. Yeah, imagine playing Prague with a Kufau
and Max has got a good point now.
Jamie's fuming.
I still stick by my point.
Right. I've got one question for you all before we move on to United. Right now, from this position, where do we finish?
Should finish, or where will we finish?
Where do you believe we will finish?
7th.
6th.
Who said 6th?
If we beat United on Sunday and then win our game in hand, there we go, level on points.
I love that. I'm gonna go with Megan 6th. We're gonna still going to qualify, but
I would say 6th or 7th is more realistic.
I'm going 5th.
I think Chelsea ain't gonna lose now.
Yeah, Chelsea are gonna look. I think the Man City, and Chelsea finish above us. Leicester maybe, but Tottenham could still go good. Everton have proved they're not a bad team. I think anyone from Leicester down to Liverpool is unpredictable. I don't think once you go below them, any of them are going to catch. Like, look, Liverpool are obviously in absolute turmoil right now, and I hate them. But they could easily go and win their next 10 games and finish above.
The one I really want to win is beating Arsenal. We should have beaten the last 2 times we played them. Look, they've got some good players, and we'll obviously talk about these more in depth next week. But I just want to beat them badly. Really bad. That's a weird kickoff time next week. It's 3:00 next Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's a very weird kickoff time.
Because they've got a Europa League, haven't they?
Yes. But I'm surprised it's 3:00. I thought they just made it a bit one of the other times, 4:30 or 2.
Yeah.
Let's go to a little break. We'll come back and discuss United away.
Can I just say, could you imagine Christian Daly's hair on Daryl? It'd be one hell of a sight.
It looked good, wouldn't it?
To be fair, it would look like a Christian Daly.
Yeah, that'd look fantastic. Right, we might as well start straight with one, and let's go to Matt's stats.
Matt's
stats.
Yeah, we're ready for that one.
Baby brain.
Fair, if I was on and ready in time, I'm not going to bother with the full-on Matt stats this time because we played Man United about a month ago and I did the full Matt stats then for this game. So it seems a little bit pointless. But obviously the recent results, we had a 0-0 draw, which obviously we went out in extra time in the FA Cup. And we lost 3-1 to them at home this season after the turnaround at half-time when they brought on the big guns. If you want to go back and listen to the full Matt stats, go back and listen to the FA Cup preview pod where it will all be available.
Add on a game, add in a draw.
On in that game, I believe that was one of the episodes just before Matt stats, because didn't we have our...
We did have the stat, but we probably didn't have the graphic.
Didn't we have our first YouTube show, the one after?
It was, the one immediately after that game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We would have it on our podcast, so go and listen to our podcast and you'll be able to hear Matt stats.
So we play United away at Old Trafford on Sunday night, 7:15 kickoff. And as we said earlier, which obviously people don't listen to because James forgot to press record. We will keep saying it. I'm really not a fan of that kickoff time. I'm all footballed out by then. But for it to be us, which I think is the first time we've played that kickoff time this year.
Just for my benefit, when is it?
No, we've played it once. Was it Wolves game?
Yeah, Wolves. Because it was during the NFL. Daryl, it's during the NFL, so it had to be.
But I'll probably watch the NFL.
I'm telling you, it was.
So, right. Folks, let's go to you, Tom. Can we beat United away at Old Trafford? Obviously, there's no Lingard because it is his parent club. Who takes his place, and can we get a result?
I think we can get a result. I think we would be hoping for not hoping for a draw, but I think we would be happy with a draw. I think it will be difficult to go there and win. Although sides such as Sheffield United have been there and win, so we could be buoyed by that. The other caveat is that this game is sandwiched in between their two games against AC Milan. So you don't know what sort of side they're going to put out. They could pick up any knocks tomorrow.
Just a quick question to that, Tom. Can they play that at home, or has it got to be away in a different country? Like,
I can check.
Like other games, because obviously Liverpool are playing their home leg right now in Romania or Hungary.
I think it's at Old Trafford, but I don't know.
It's trusting not to say on the bloody website.
Yes,
it's at Old Trafford. It's at Old Trafford.
That's a shame. It's not away somewhere. That is a shame. But yeah, look, Milan's a massive game, and obviously they'll go pretty full strength into that one.
Milan are quite a good side now, we have to say. Like, they're not a weak side.
So another thing I will add is whenever we come up against a Man United, I don't know if this is like factual or not, but it always seems to be that we play them right in the middle of their like difficult runs, and everyone gets a bit confident, like, oh, they're going to drop so and so and rest whoever, and then when it comes to the game, it just never really pans out that way, and we never seem to like benefit from that. So I think we should just account for that. Man United will be playing a strong side, and they're second in the league for a reason.
Going on from your point now, and obviously after the FA Cup game, does Moyes go defensive again with maybe the 3-5-2 formation or 3-5-1, whatever he sort of plays, or do we stay at them?
I think Moyes has learned from the United game in the Cup and the Liverpool game that when we sat off and showed a lot of respect, it didn't really work. I know we ended up drawing the Cup game, but when we played City, it was like a different mindset, and we got at them from the start, and we seemed to play better that way.
Can I just add why I think that was? I think that was because of Lingard. We had someone who was It weren't like we
Definitely.
were just going long. We were getting the ball to Lingard, who could carry the ball up the pitch instead of us just humping it. And like it was then just like, let's try and keep it. That's why I would.
Ben must start then.
I was about to say I'd bring in Ben Johnson for Lingard and keep Ben Rama on that pitch and make him do that Lingard role. But I would also be debating Bowen, because Bowen does give you defensive output.
Yep. Matt, what's your thoughts on it all going forward?
It's a difficult one, isn't it, really? I'm not sure what the best way to go with it is. You could easily say, let's go with just someone like for Lingard. I'd probably go Bowen, and then you've got that defensive work rate as well with it that he brings to the team. But the temptation is to go to the back five. The other option, again, that we've seen before is you could play Fredericks on the right, which we did against Villa, which was quite effective then. So there's options. It'll be difficult to know exactly which one he's going to go with. But I think United have been a strange one, obviously, the last few weeks. They looked absolutely dreadful against Palace in midweek last week, but then they go and beat City. So you're hoping that the team that turned up against Palace turn up, because they were the ones that looked creatively inept. And it was when they were playing on the counter against City that they looked better. So I'd probably go 4-2-3-1.
James?
I think I would go with the three at the back, because I think you got, as much as I know that the defenders are playing well, I don't think we'll get away with what we got away with against Leeds, against Man United. And on another day, we could have easily lost that game. So I think having that three at the back would sort of make it harder for them, at least, to, get through us. You bring Johnson in. You played Cresswell next to Diop and Dawson and Schufel. And then, I know you're losing an attacking player, but did you say Lingard's he can't play?
Can't play.
Yeah.
So because of that, then I know you've lost a player, but you have got like the options of Bowen, and you got your Fornals to work great. I think you start like that, because the one thing that we all noticed and we all agreed on is when he changed formation to that 5 last time we played them, we saw an improvement. So maybe we start like that, and then if it doesn't work and we need to go for it, and you want to go for it, maybe in the last 20 minutes, then you change to the 4-2-3-1, and then you see what happens. I don't know. It's a tough call, but my instinct would be to go with a 5 and make play hard to beat.
How harsh does it sound if we're playing 3 centre halves and Ogbonna still doesn't start?
I was actually gonna point this. I was actually gonna say this to you now as a question to all of you. If he goes 3 at the back with a 3-5-2 and goes Kufal, Diop, Dawson, Ogbonna, Cresswell as your wing back, which he can give you obviously attacking.
Maybe that would work.
I would like that.
People go with that.
Yeah, I would go with that.
And then
Is Ogbonna going to be fit?
We don't know. You obviously go Rice and Zuchek. Then I'd personally play Fornals, Ben Rama, Antonio.
I think Ben Rama needs to play. There's no argument. I think for me, like every time he plays, I feel like everyone else is just, like, there's a few fans that are not really set on him yet, but I feel like the majority seem to be, why does he never ever start, or why does he never stay? It's just
I really like Bowen, and I think he's only going to get better. Confidence is a big thing for him right now, and he's going to be a really good player for this club. But United and Luke Shaw will not be scared of Bowen on Sunday night. They will be scared of Ben Rama. Ben Rama playing, knowing what he can do, they will be worried about him driving with that football. Take him out and play Lanzini and Fornals or whatever. They're not going to be too scared because we've got no driving force going forward.
I think that's it. Whereas like Lingard is that transitional player, isn't he, that gets the ball and runs with it and can run at a defender. That's why if you haven't got him, I think it's essential that you have Ben Rama.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Score predictions. James, as you're a new dad, let's go with you first.
The logic there is ridiculous.
I just went new dad. Let's go.
I'm going to go with. I actually think we're going to get a draw. I think we're both going to score. Both teams to score 1-1. I reckon we're going to give them a fight.
Who scores?
I will go for Tommy Souček to get his goal again.
We said it last week. He's due one.
He's definitely due one.
Tom, what you got? What you going for?
I'll go for a 0-1 away win.
Ooh, taking my score, man. Got a goal scorer for me? If you take my goal scorer as well, I'm not happy.
For now, has to be.
It was going to be.
I was going to say,
the head of the Fornells fan club. Mig, what are you going for?
I'm going to bring some pessimism to the argument and say it's going to be a 2-1 Man United win.
Damn.
Sorry, Jamie. I'll go one further and I'll say we'll take the lead through a Michael Antonio goal.
Annoyingly, you've literally taken
like the 89th minute or something.
You've taken everything I wanted. I wanted that. I think we lose 2-1 as well. When I do think it's Antonio. I just think they're going to have more for us, and that's not a bad thing. They're a better team than probably we are, and they're second
in the league for a reason.
Max, if you're still on, have you got a score prediction for us?
Tom, go upstairs and ask him.
He's probably going to be like 5-0.
I'll give him a shout.
Scores all 5.
Right.
I knew you. Shout him.
I am going for 1-0. It's just one of them seasons. That's what I think. Max Willits, 0-3 Dawson hat-trick. Jamie,
I'm sorry. I'm calling it now. And I mean this. I will get a tattoo of King Dawson on any part of my body if he scores a hat-trick.
This time next year, you're going to have a tattoo of Dawson, Jesse Lingard.
No, because I'll have to get King Dawson anywhere on my body.
I'm going to go 1-0 West Ham. I just think the season we're having, we've obviously lost them twice. I think we beat. I just fancy it. And I'm going to go Ben Rama. I think it's Ben Rama's day. He's going to nick one. He's going to become a club hero, just like that. I think that's all from us today. Anything else you want to discuss before we leave, boys?
Have we definitely recorded this? Is this working?
Yeah, I'm recorded. I just think we're live. We'll get this obviously out as a podcast as well. Please go and like our YouTube page and subscribe. Obviously, if you're watching live now, that's fantastic. And say subscribe. It just does for us. We want to obviously get bigger as we go.
We're as massive as West Ham.
Yes, which is very massive. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which Matt runs our Twitter. He's very you're on there pretty often. Keep going. Like we do a bit of game stuff and obviously team sheets and stuff like that as well. That's it, boys. Tom, thanks for joining us again, and it'd be great if you could join us again very soon.
There's no way he scores a hat trick.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us for 2 podcasts tonight. It's been great.
I managed to sort my Wi-Fi out for the second one, so it's been a bit better.
I know you didn't join us.
Yeah, you've been flawless the second one.
Yeah,
that was the plan all along. I sabotaged you, Tom.
Cheers,
If Fornell scores the winner on Sunday, mate, we'll have you back next week ready for Arsenal.
Can't change a winning pod.
That's it.
Well, I got the correct score the last time I was on, so
you did. Yeah. That is correct.
So fingers crossed. Max, thanks for joining us as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Hopefully very soon we'll get you on as well, and we'll just set you and Jamie up together, and we'll all go mute for a little while.
Why? Because he's just going to be like, Declan Rice is world class. Declan Rice is world class, and I'll be like, Sebastian had a played with him, and literally said he's not.
Out.
It'll be like watching me and James at the olden days.
And on that note, Declan Rice is still not world class.
That is it from us.
It just is though.
So congratulations to you, James. As I said, happy birthday to Ryan as well. We'll be back. We'll be back next week. Hopefully after a win at Old Trafford. So that is it from us. Last thing to say, come you Irons.
Come you Irons.
Come you Irons.
Come you.